Cast from the Coast.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Here's Johnny.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
This 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Have you checked the children?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 44 of They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I have with me, as always, Tim, the only person I know who can make Yes Man sound like screw you.
It's better.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm reaching.
The first take where you called me Mother of Dragons. Like, no, I know it's a recycled thing. All right.
We'll let it go this time. We'll let it slide.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. How you doing, Tim?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, man. How's your week been?
Good. I've been a slave to my computer like I am most days, and have yet to see the light of day in many weeks. I've been editing a new episode for Red Band Review that me and yourself did. It's a new aspect of commentaries, where we actually do a full-on commentary for an uncut movie, and with the theme of this month, it is perfect. I love this video, and I love the movie that we did it on. Mm-hmm. But it's a little weird because I've been out of practice doing a lot of video edits because I've been doing the photography stuff and other things. And my first video that I get back into is like a 2-hour video that I have to edit, and I'm like, shit. But
nice. I'm
looking at this as kind of a crash course of getting me in the groove of it again, because we got the upcoming Filmgoria coming out, which I'm very excited, and there's a lot of like interesting little edits and stuff that I got to do with that. So very busy. But as always, I have time to, watch movies and TV and the Netflix and the Googles and the YouTubes. And
nice. It's good, man. It's good. And you had a good holiday. Good.
I did have a good holiday. I did. It was kind of one of those things where, like most people are like, oh my God, where am I going to get the money for this? And how am I going to pull this off? And every Christmas, it happens. And
it happens.
So my kid was really happy with everything that I got him, which is awesome. I think I got everything that he wanted, and he was like, I'm just going to tell you everything that I wanted, and I'll be happy with whatever you get. Right? Like, it's not like I'm going to be disappointed. And the cool thing is aside from one game, I got him everything that he asked for.
That's friggin' awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was really happy. He was really happy. He wasn't expecting it. It was like he's ripping open stuff, and he's like, "Oh my God, you got it! Oh my God!" You know what I mean? So it was really cool.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's good, man. It's we're happy to be back into the groove of things now. We had a break, and now we're kind of starting to record some stuff. I don't feel like we actually had a break, but to anybody listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube, it's been a little while.
Oh wait, Dave had a break.
Oh yes, right. Other guy in the room, Mr. Dave Blondie Locks Miles.
What? Blondie Locks? What do you mean?
Oh, Dave, take off the hat.
Well, what we're talking about.
Take off the hat.
What do you mean? Oh, jeez.
Yay! He wanted to match Tim's beard, so that's what he did.
My beard's not blonde. Well, it's a lustrous shade of ginger.
On camera, well, David's hair kind of seems in a different shimmer. Kind of seems reddish, orangish. So it's interesting. But
I wanted to join the ginger club. Come on.
Yeah.
It's
that's all it is.
It's a pretty exclusive club.
It's a pretty exclusive club. That's right. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. I am exhausted from vacation. I need a vacation from my vacation.
That happens.
But I'm good. Yeah, I spent 2 weeks in Florida. We were down there for 2 weeks and spent 10 of those 14 days at Walt Disney World. And let me tell you, it is
the most magical place on earth.
It is the most Star Wars-rific place on Earth right now because it is wall-to-wall Star Wars. I mean, it is Star Wars overload at Disney right now. So, I mean, since Disney bought the Star Wars property, they've just been going full tilt. And let me tell you, with Last Jedi, coming out in December, you can't go anywhere in Disney without seeing Star Wars this and Star Wars that, whether it be in the shops, whether it be the signage. It's just, they've got Star Wars fireworks now at night for one of the parks. They've got, I uploaded this cool video to my Facebook page. They do this March of the First Order. So like every hour, every couple hours, every day, the stormtroopers and Captain Phasma comes out and the music is like blaring in the streets and they do like this First Order march and they start picking on people in the crowd and it's awesome. Like it's totally cool and they start shooting their blasters in the sky and the music's playing, the Imperial March, and I mean, trust me, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's amazing right now. It's the perfect time of year to go because it's just, yeah, you're just inundated with Star Wars stuff. It's amazing. So,
nice.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
Well, good. So now you can relax and commentate on things and tell people about movies on the show.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back into the swing of things here. So, I mean, vacations are great, but you know what? It's good to be back and great to be back in the chair here to start talking about more movies.
Excellent.
Continuing on with Big Cast.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And yeah, so I mean, it's been a busy couple weeks for me. Me and Tim were working on a couple things while David was gone. One thing specifically, Tim already alluded to, the commentary from Red Band Review, which is coming soon. That's going to be blast. And we're getting ready to do another one with David here shortly, because now that we're all back together, it's...
Should we officially announce what this month's theme is for January?
I was just about to say, because Tim... What's this month's theme, by the way? Because it is January, a very special month for a very special person.
Yes. It happens to be the birth month of one of my favorite director, writer, composer, Renaissance men.
All-around artist.
Yes, of modern cinema, Mr. John Carpenter. And I only saw it fitting that we actually, because we've done our retrospect of John Carpenter, and we've said on non-themed John Carpenter videos how much we love John Carpenter, right?
We do.
And how I feel personally that he doesn't get enough recognition, enough credit to his genius that he is adding to modern cinema. This month's theme is going to be John Carpenter's January.
I see
and it's so perfect because I can see the title.
Oh, I've already made it.
Oh.
I've already made it. Like what we should do in the future when you're editing this is you should put that in when I say that.
Well, maybe I've already got my thought to do that, Tim.
Yeah. All right. But
we're just
anyway,
that good.
It's gonna be right.
Yes.
It's gonna be right over here. There, that side of the screen. So there you go. Excellent, man. John Carpenter's January. We love John Carpenter, and once again, we wouldn't mind if you wanted to be on the show one time.
No.
I mean, we definitely make some time for the man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would stop what I was doing to have a conversation with him.
Pretty much. So that means that this month we are going to be dedicating all of our episodes on the Misunderstood Art Company. Anything that we release this month is going to have a John Carpenter initiative and theme to it, including tonight's episode, which, Dave, what movie are we talking about tonight, Dave?
Oh, tonight we are talking about a John Carpenter classic. We are going to be talking about John Carpenter's The Fog from 1980.
Yay! I love this movie.
It's so hard.
Great movie.
It's so hard to decide what to talk about with John Carpenter because we talked about Halloween last year. So I mean, we already did an episode on Halloween. Give it another couple of years, and when we've got 1 million YouTube subscribers and stuff, and we'll probably talk about it again. It's hopeful, but oh well.
Well, the thing is finding a different way to talk about it because our Red Band review that we did, we already did an episode on The Thing with They Cast.
That's true.
We talked about The Thing again on the John Carpenter retrospect. Red Band review, the first commentary that we're doing is on The Thing.
Yes.
So it's just finding a different way to talk about it.
We won't never stop talking about John Carpenter films. They're just part of existence for us movie fanatics. So we'll go with that. So this month we will be talking about quite a few John Carpenter films and all the aspects about that in the way that we do, in the only way that we know how, which is fun, I guess. People seem to enjoy it, so we'll go with that. So excellent. All right, gentlemen, unless you guys got anything else that you want to add to our little round table, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start discussing John Carpenter's The Fog.
Ooh!
Spooky.
Coming back in a minute.
Hi everybody, this is Vincent DeSanti, the writer and director of Friday the 13th fan film Never Hike Alone, and you are listening to the great commentary of They Cast from the Coast. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out Never Hike Alone, which is streaming for free on YouTube right now.
John Carpenter's The Fog.
This is KB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unknown came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Oh, Jesus.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unnatural came out of the fog. Now it has returned. 100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something evil came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Who's there?
The fog.
Antonio Bay has a curse on it. We're all cursed. There's no water getting here, but something awful cold did.
I think I'll go to Vancouver now.
Where's the fog now?
Well, it should be right outside my door now.
Oh, there's something different about this fog. Dan, stay away from the door! Someone listen to me!
Get inside and lock your doors. Close your windows. There's something in the fog. Stay away from the fog. From the creator of Halloween, the ultimate experience in terror and suspense. John Carpenter's The Fog, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Houseman, Janet Leigh as Kathy Williams, and Hal Holbrook as Father Malone. The Fog. What you can't see won't hurt you. It will kill you. Between midnight and 1, it will find you.
Welcome back, everybody, as we begin our discussion on They Cast from the Coast's first episode for John Carpenter's January.
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 Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
That was nice.
Excellent. So
good team play, Dave.
Good team play. So specifically, This was a movie that Tim really wholeheartedly wanted to do. So, Tim, take us out, buddy.
Oh, The Fog. The Fog from 1980. This is one of those John Carpenter movies that kind of, for me, slipped through the cracks for years and years and years. And then when I kind of rediscovered John Carpenter again, I had this movie recommended to me many, many, many times. So I was lucky enough at my local dollar store to find this movie on DVD for $2, brand new, unopened. Nice. And it was like one of the greatest finds of my life. Like I felt like Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was awesome. Okay, so as far as an overview, this movie takes place primarily in Antonio Bay in California. And it's the centennial of this small town. And through the events of 100 years ago, something bad happened. And it's about to come back 100 years later. And basically, a conspiracy led by the town's founders resulted in the deaths of several lepers in a terrible shipwreck. And the conspirators had planned to lower the leper ship in towards the rocks so it would sink. And then they could recover the cargo of gold and use the fortune to build this small town. This is all like the back plot of what kind of drives, I guess, the main monster of this movie. So then 100 years comes, around, and basically on the anniversary of this date, this thick fog rolls in, blinding the crew of this little like fishing vessel out in the bay. It engulfs the ship, and all the crew die. But you don't see it because it's in the fog. And basically, this mysterious fog contains these several vengeful ghosts of the crew that got killed 100 years ago, and basically they chose tonight on the anniversary of their death to seek vengeance. And The Fog.
Love it. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. Those were very broad strokes. Nothing. When I told to paint that picture, there's so much more added into that. But
okay,
you kind of put me on the spot. I didn't know that I was going to be talking about it. So
it's fine. It's just the overview. Nobody can paint a picture like Vincent DeSanti, though.
Shit, man! The episode that we filmed to Filmgoria summed up an entire movie in 3 minutes, and like he did not miss any detail, and I'm just sitting there going, "Holy shit!" Like that was amazing. So like every other episode, he did it. Listen, you want to take this out, bud? It was amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I can't wait for everybody to hear that. But yeah. No, we're not doing it Vincent style because only Vincent can do it that way. So we're fine. Yeah. We're just giving the overview. Okay, so plot for John Carpenter's The Fog. So the beauty of this movie is that visually, and we'll talk about that here shortly, it is a John Carpenter film. There's no doubt about it. He's got that beautiful aesthetic when it comes to these movies. The angles, the shots, the color, the everything. The plot, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wrote this movie. And it's got a really simplistic story behind it when you think about it. 100 years ago, founding fathers of a town decided to, when a ship of lepers was going to... Lepers wanted to settle into the area. They set a campfire, and instead of using the lighthouse, they set a campfire on the rocky beach to lead them into shore, crashing the boat and killing everybody on board. And then, like you said, they steal the gold and stuff. It's a simple story because it's one of these classic revenge tales where a supernatural ghostly crew of the ship rolls in, the spirits of them roll in with the fog, and start murdering the townspeople. And it's such a simple plot, but it's a true ghost story.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a classic ghost story. It's the type of story that you hear sitting around a campfire on a beach late at night, just like the opening of the movie. It's beautiful. Like, it's a perfect ghost story and a visualization of that ghost story.
Absolutely, and one of the things that I wanted to make a point to something Adam just said was how simple this story was. That's one of the things about a lot of early John Carpenter movies, is that the story is so simple that most of his efforts can be spent on character development and, you know,
and
world setting and style and the music, and that right there. Did we just unlock the secret of John Carpenter's film genius? It's a simple. Holy fuck! I just did that. And we got it recorded. No, but do you know what I mean though? Like that. That is, and like. Yeah, like it's just it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It is, and this type of a story has been relayed many different times, many different ways by other people too. To the effect of, the one thing that I picked up on rewatching this movie, it was very similar in tone to something even as simple as the Garfield Halloween special.
Oh my God!
Yes, right?
Me too.
But it was beautiful because that was something that I grew up loving, was this old Garfield Halloween special. And I'm watching this going, the ship, the pirate type characters, the spirits rolling in with the fog, the gold.
100 years later.
100 years later, and I was just absolutely blown away by it. And I love everything about that. And and it really kind of proves to the testament of this too, is that watching it now, you know, the movie's from, 1980? Watching it 1980. Now, it is still as effective. There was a couple of scenes where I literally had goosebumps watching this movie. And it wasn't like, oh my God, scary. It was unnerving to a point because of the whole atmosphere that John Carpenter creates in this film.
Well, one of my favorite scenes, sorry Dave, I saw you point,
but
I'm already speaking, so I'll just finish, is I love the setup at the beginning. He gets all the exposition out of the way with a very effective way of this old man on the beach talking to these kids, telling the scary story over a campfire. And I love a lot of the angles he chose. Like, it's just, I love it. I love it.
Go ahead, Dave.
It's okay. I can't remember what I was going to say. It's all good. But I'll add to your point, Tim, with the camera angles at the beginning. You know, even just when it opens, like with the watch and how it pans over, and it shows, like, it's fantastic. I know what I was going to say. Watching The Fog, you can compare it to Halloween in the fact that it's a horror movie, but it's not gory. I mean, a lot of it is, you don't actually see it on screen, but your mind wants you to see certain things. It wants to add the gore, but it's not really there. It's more suspenseful. It's more atmospheric, just like Halloween. It's not a gory horror movie. It's a horror movie, but it's more suspense than what it is gory horror.
It's almost taking pages out of, like, Stephen King's kind of more suspenseful than horror. But it is, that was one of the key things I said and will continue to say as we talk about this. This movie reminded me a lot of Halloween, like as far as camera angles and, like, you know, even how the lepers in The Fog act. Like, it's just, it all reminds me of Halloween. And I mean, it makes sense because this was his first film after Halloween, right? So.
And this movie contains something that Tim absolutely loves in a horror movie: the eyes.
Oh, fuck, and they only used it once at the end.
I know! And it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
All right, so we've talked about the story and the plot. We love this thing. Let's move on a little bit to the characters. So this movie, it was John Carpenter's first after Halloween, as you had mentioned. And it contains a bunch of amazingly well-known actors and actresses at the time, especially people such as Jamie Lee Curtis, who's coming off of a high from Halloween and the popularity of what was going on. So we got Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays a hitchhiking floozy hitchhiker.
I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was adorable in this.
Oh, dude, I love Jamie Lee Curtis in this. She's so awesome.
Though her, you know, hitting on Tom Atkins,
I don't know. It's Tom Atkins. He doesn't look the same without the beard and the goatee to me. Like I don't know. It's not the same guy anymore at this point, right?
No, but my favorite character, believe it or not, I absolutely loved Adrienne Barbeau in this. I did.
Oh yeah.
Especially when she would turn on, because she was the disc jockey at the Lighthouse radio station or whatever. I loved how she would have her normal voice and her on-air voice. Yep. I loved it. I loved her.
Stevie Wayne.
Yeah,
Stevie Wayne.
The woman with two men's first names. Gotta love it. Yeah. But you know what? She is wonderful because she really does play the whole fish out of water character too, which is great because she basically bought the radio station, moved to the small town, trying to make something of it, and she's kind of like the big city girl in the small town now. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy that way.
Yeah, and I mean, another cool thing that I found with her character that is based on something in real life is that she actually patterned her voice to the real life female disc jockey Alison Steele from the 1960s, who was also known as the Nightbird. So I thought that was kind of cool that, like, you know, even though it's a fictional movie, like, I love when actors take things from real life, right? So
100%. No, she was a great character, and she had a kid in the movie. It was almost kind of like, you know, a new
who she never saw. She never saw him through the whole fucking movie.
Well, no, she did when he came in to wake her up that morning when he found the nameplate from the ship.
Right.
And she was she was like, "What the hell do you want? Let me go back to bed." And kids
you showed me this piece of wood for.
Exactly. And then it was just kind of like he was with the elderly woman after that for like the rest of it, you know. So
was it his grandmother or the nanny?
I thought it was like a nanny. I didn't.
I think it was a nanny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was like a nanny. So, okay. So we have Jamie Lee Curtis, who's the floozy, slooty hitchhiker. We got Tom,
who is an artist. She's an artist.
Who is an artist, by the way, yes, because there's an infamous scene where her and Tom Atkins are naked under the blankets and he's looking at her art portfolio, which is funny. So then we got Tom Atkins, though. So Tom Atkins is the Joe Everyman in this movie, except for he picks her up because she's on the side of the road.
Do you want to know an awesome piece of trivia about this?
Go ahead.
Do you know who Tom Atkins' character was originally supposed to be played by?
Who?
Kurt Russell.
No!
Can you imagine? Can you imagine
Kurt Russell and Jamie Lee Curtis in bed?
It should have. He was doing something else, so that's why he couldn't do it. But the original role of Nick Castle was supposed to be Kurt Russell. But I went to Tom Atkins, and Tom Atkins was good.
It's kind of funny that the name of the character is Nick Castle, too, by the way.
I know, right? I know.
That's hilarious.
Well, there's a few of those. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And he obviously did it on purpose, too. I mean, it wasn't... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have those characters. And then we're also introduced to Kathy Williams, the character, who is played by the wonderful, beautiful Janet Leigh.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because... You know, for the most part, to be honest, the only real movie that I ever truly loved with Janet Leigh in it was Psycho.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, you watch this movie and you're like, oh my God, I mean, she's not a main character. She's a sub-character, but she's still got a lot of, you know, face time in the movie. And she's wonderful. And she's still got the wonderful voice and she's still got the elegance on screen. And it was even cooler because here she is with her daughter in the same movie now.
But unfortunately, they weren't in any scenes together.
No. But they did share screen time.
Weren't they in the same scenes at the end?
No.
In the church?
No. They were not on the same screen at the same time. I think that they were both in the church, but it was.
And there was also another part where they were both in the bar, but they didn't share the scene together.
They weren't in the same frame together. It was separate frame. Yeah. Okay. So we've got all these wonderful characters, but we got some other crazy character names here. We got Dan O'Bannon.
I know.
It's like, okay.
The weather guy.
The weather guy. And then we got the infamous Father Malone by Hal Holbrook, which is just a classic actor, you know, that he's been in like 1,000,000,001 movies, right? So
best cameo ever at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
was John Carpenter himself as the janitor. Was he the janitor or just the helper at the church with Father Malone or whatever? But
I think he was just a helper because he's uncredited also. His name is Bennett.
Yeah,
that's right. Ben. Yeah, Ben.
His crazy fucking 80s hair going everywhere. I loved it.
Can you pay me now, Father?
It would have been years since I saw the movie, and I watched it last night. And of course, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that? And then he turned around, and I'm like, no shit, I don't remember him being in there. But yeah,
it's hilarious. Yeah, it's crazy. But no, the characters were really well done in this movie. So we do have a lot of direction, a lot of character development with the characters. But John Carpenter has this amazing knack with character building that he doesn't necessarily have to make the characters familiar all the time to each other. And he plays that very well with Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie. He basically takes two characters, takes a situation, throws them in together, and they basically journey together throughout the movie. And it really comes down to the fact that he picks her up, the glass blows out of his truck, and she decides to spend the night with him. And moving on from she spends the night with him. and then she just decided that she's not going to head off to Chicago just yet. She's going to stick around, you know what I mean? And they have this wonderful little journey together through the rest of the movie. So he does this very well.
Vancouver.
Oh, that's right. It is Vancouver, isn't it? But Chicago was mentioned at one point too, wasn't it? It was like Chicago was mentioned, Vancouver was mentioned, and something else. No.
Yeah.
No, friggin' no.
I also liked that, seeing as this is the first movie since Halloween, aside from Jamie Lee Curtis, like there was a number of people that were in Halloween that were also in The Fog, including Nancy Loomis, who went by Nancy Keys in this, who was Janet Leigh's assistant, helper, Kathy Williams. She was helping her with
Yes. Which is funny because the first time that I seen her on screen, I actually thought it was what's her face from Dirty Dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer Grey or whatever.
Grey.
Yeah, I thought it was Jennifer Grey first. I was like, is that Jennifer Grey? Like a little bit younger? Nah.
Nancy Loomis.
That's right.
And then we had Sheriff Brackett himself, Charles Cyphers, as the weather guy, Dan O'Bannon.
I also like that George Flower, or George Buck. Flower, who was playing Tommy Wallace.
Yes.
One of the first victims of The Fog. I was so happy to see him because I love that guy.
Yep.
I love that guy, especially after seeing, because he always plays kind of like a grizzled, in They Live, he was the homeless guy, right?
I forgot about
the watch at the end. Yeah, I love his acting. He's in a bunch of movies. None are coming to me right now. But
he was in Back to the Future as the homeless guy.
Yeah.
Crazy drunk drivers.
Yeah, and he was also in another John Carpenter, Starman. Yep. He was also in.
He was in tons of stuff.
Yeah, he was in a bunch. I'm literally going down IMDb page, and he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so we'll move on about characters, because, we don't have to get too into depth to the characters, but we understand, what he's done with these characters, which is great. So let's talk for a minute about effects. Dave.
The effects were really good.
Yeah. Yes, they were, Tim. Dave, jump in here. Effects, man. Come on.
Yeah, effects were pretty good for the time. I think, The Fog is The Fog. It is what it is. It had a cool glowing effect to it. Great. The ghosts themselves, the lepers, creepy. But, as far as visual effects go, or as far as special effects, just with those few key effects, there wasn't a whole lot going on in this movie. Again, brings me back to what I was saying, comparing this to Halloween. There's a little bit of effects, but not a whole lot. It's not a big effects-type movie, right? With the exception of the actual fog itself and just those few scenes with the levers. It's not a big effects movie.
No, that's true.
But it isn't. But
what you do see is effective.
The effects are effective.
The effects are effective.
It's
yes.
True. It is
I'll
true.
stick with that.
Yeah. One of the greatest things in this movie isn't even really a character scene, in my opinion. It has nothing to do with the effects and the makeup. One of the best scenes in this movie when it comes to the effects, that even watching it the other night, I loved the look of it, was when the characters at the beginning, when the fog starts to roll in on the ship, are out on the bow of the ship, and all of a sudden you see the leper ship come out of the fog and start whooshing by them. You know what I mean? Like it's the Elizabeth Dane, and it's there. It is. They're looking up at this damn Black Pearl type ghost ship. You know what I mean? And it was really effective because it utilized an effect with the ship that they utilized very commonly with the characters in this movie, the leper characters as ghosts. Darkened characters on darkened backgrounds in darkened settings. So when you're looking at it, the detail that you see is what they want you to see, and it's just little effects of detail. You know, it isn't blaring it in your face. It's, you know, I can see something moving, and then I you know, through the light that's emanating out of the fog, I can see the sails, and I can see the masts, and I can see the outline of the ship. But it's not like you're sitting there staring at, you know, like a Pirates of the Caribbean ship, you know, in that movie, and there it is, right?
He's gone more for a silhouette.
Yeah, it's a silhouette, and it's ghostly in that effect. And that was a very well portrayed situation when it came to the leper characters as well, because that's what we get with them. We get silhouettes. Lights that are shone from behind, you know, the emanating glow of the fog and the lights from behind them. And every now and then you get the red or the yellow eyes that are kind of prominent with the characters. And the only time that you ever truly see anything with these characters, even the leper characters, you know, like up close and personal, would be like when Adrian Barbeau's character hits one of them with the hook. And he turns his head and you can see like maggots and shit crawling all over his face. And he's got a real green algae sea life effect on him. And then he turns back and it's a silhouette type character again. You know, and I thought that was wonderfully effective.
I also found that the scene where they recovered one of the sea guys that the fog first overtook, and they were having the autopsy done on it, and for whatever reason they left Jamie Lee Curtis, and you know what I mean? Like I thought that scene was probably the best one in the movie for me. Like it felt very, I don't know.
Well, it was very supernatural feeling too, because here she is, and she's kind of like, you know, just sitting there waiting for Tom Atkins and the guy, and all of a sudden this damn corpse gets up.
Tom Atkins and the guy.
Exactly.
Sounds like a movie.
And this damn corpse with no eyes picks up a scalpel, gets up out of the bed, out of the hospital gurney or whatever he's on, the autopsy gurney, and starts walking towards her.
Zombie autopsy gurney. That was good.
And what was even funnier too is that she goes, and she turns and he like falls.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird because I had to think about that for a second. But like, what do you guys think of that? Is it that
I didn't understand that scene, to be honest with you? I do have a few small gripes with this movie. I mean, overall, I like it, but that scene right there is I loved it. I loved it. It played out well. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Like, okay, so that fair.
Why did he come back? Why? Like, for what reason?
And and why did he fall when she looked at him?
Yeah, like what was the point in the whole thing? I don't understand what the point was.
I'm going to find out.
Tim's going to find out. But yeah, I mean,
I think it was done just for a jump scare, just as filler, because it doesn't fit in any of the storyline. I mean, when looking at the overall storyline, these guys are coming back to claim 6 victims for the six colony members, leper colony members that perished in the sinking of the ship. Mm-hmm. And apparently in the novelization of the movie, it's made a little bit more clear that that's actually who they're coming back for 100 years later are the 6 descendants. So theoretically, this guy from the ship was one of the descendants from the original colony that forced the ship onto the rocks to sink. Okay. But again, what's the point in the scene where the guy comes back to life as a zombie and then he's done? Like I
know why.
Go ahead.
I know why it doesn't make sense.
Go ahead, Tim.
It was that scene, and along with a scene with Adrian Barbeau at the end of the movie, were part of the reshoots because the movie was not long enough.
Oh, so it was filler.
It was literally filler, and it was just kind of a cool scene. I don't think there was any real thought behind it. I think it was another chance to have a monster. I think it was another chance to have Jamie Lee Curtis in it. It was part of the reshoots.
And you know what? Fair enough. You could chalk it up to just another supernatural occurrence, like when the fog's rolling in, the car alarms all going off, the clock's busting, the earthquake effects that are going on, like the town falling into chaos.
Well, I mean, could it also be, because this, like I said, this was one of the victims that was taken from the ship that the fog got the night before. Could it also be that, like, because it was killed and the guy was killed in such a manner that he's almost like becoming one of them?
Could be.
Like maybe
you know
he's
what I
now
mean?
part of the crew.
Yeah.
It could be, I guess. While you're watching the movie, it sort of sticks out. Okay, that's different. But, you kind of forget about it because you're watching the movie and trying to figure out, what's going on. But in retrospect, looking back at that, it sticks out as it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I don't see anything related to that afterwards. Nothing like that shows up or appears again.
And it didn't really tell us or show us anything that furthered the story along either, right?
No,
like you
that's
think
right,
an autopsy scene would have some pertinent information to propel the story forward, but you're right. All right.
Now,
okay, so I'm rethinking my favorite scene now.
But that being said, be appreciative of the fact that it was more of a supernatural feel and it didn't escalate into something. It's not like it turned into like a zombie fight or something odd that could have been a little more awkward and stuck out a little bit worse, because reality being these zombie leper ghost characters, when they arrive, they kill, they leave, or they come in for what they want and they go out, like the fog coming in and out with the tide. Whereas if this character who wasn't following the same methodology as the other creature characters would have just been a zombie character that they had to like suddenly destroy or bash its head in or something, that would have stuck out even worse.
But if you remember, there was a scene very early on in the movie where they came to Tom Atkins' house.
Yes, they knocked on the door.
Why?
I don't know.
There you go.
Was that more filler?
Was that more filler? Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I liked the scene too, but
because it was creepy because knocking on the door, and I liked that too because it was, it wasn't just like all of a sudden they appear or anything else. It was clock, 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 knocking on the door and stuff, and I always did like that. All right, so effects, characters, story, all that aside, overall feelings, thoughts, the feels, all that stuff about this John Carpenter flick. Just this John Carpenter flick. Tim.
I love it. I love it for what it is. I love that I love this movie, and I feel that this movie is more so than anything else. This is a very forgotten about movie. Like, I don't hear anybody talking about The Fog. John Carpenter's 1980 The Fog. Nope. And I mean, fuck, I got it at the dollar store for $2.
Yeah.
And it is a great John Carpenter movie. Now, it's not his best by any means, but it's really, really good.
It's mid. It's a mid-range John Carpenter film, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
No, I think a mid John Carpenter film is better than a lot of people's best films. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, everything that we've already said as far as the acting, the tone, the overall feel, though minor special effects are really good special effects in it. And I really liked how they portrayed the lepers, especially in the end scene with the glowing fucking red eyes. I love that shit. I thought that was amazing. But again, I feel that this movie really benefits from the very simplistic storyline, because you're really able to just, hey, this randomly happened to this town on this night, and then that's all you need to know, right? Like, it doesn't go into too much backstory about stuff that has no bearing on the overall story, right? I really loved Adrienne Barbeau in this. I wish that Jamie Lee Curtis was in it a little bit more. I loved all the acting. I loved all the stories. I just thought it was really great. And I'm very happy to have added it to my physical movie collection. And wow, $2. I lucked out.
It's quite the deal.
It was.
Yes. Dave.
I like this movie. I think it's a top-notch John Carpenter movie. But when you compare it to some of his other movies, I think the character development... this movie doesn't have memorable characters like some of his other movies. Aside from some of the key names, because they're borrowed from other people or other movies like Nick Castle and Dan O'Bannon and those kind of things, I struggle with trying to remember, certain characters or, certain portrayals. That aside, I think the cinematography is fantastic.
Wow, yep.
It's awesome. I mean, this was a carefully planned movie, shot for shot. I mean, it's eerie. It's got fantastic atmosphere. The story alone, I mean, it's a classic ghost story. It's phenomenal. Hats off to that. It's just, like I said, my only gripe would be the characters themselves. I think the acting was fine. There was nothing wrong with the actors themselves. I just think that the characters were not memorable. That's all. That's my only gripe with this movie. But aside from that, I mean, fantastic story. Special effects, however limited, were still good. And the cinematography, I mean, top notch.
Okay. Yeah. No, fair enough. So, I love this movie. I'm in agreement with you guys. This is not John Carpenter's best by any means, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that in a pool of awesome, it has to slip below others somewhere onto a list of frickin' awesome. There's no other way that you can do it. We got to come
up with a rating of awesome, like an awesome meter.
Yeah, exactly. Is it gold awesome, platinum awesome, whatever? So it does in fact. You can. There you go. The rating system. It's how John Carpenter is this film because they're all so damn good. Where does it sit on the level of other John Carpenter films? So. I love it.
Is it Halloween awesome or is it,
or what's his, we'll talk about that later. I do like the characters, but I like the characters in terms of how they fit into the story, which in some cases is just, there's not a lot of background for them. In some cases there is because of their tie to the original story, which causes this to occur. You know what I mean? But there's not a lot of hand-holding, which is a big thing, which I love about John Carpenter films, and we've said this many times before. It didn't have to go into a half an hour's worth of the movie to explain the shit that you're about to watch. It was a 5-minute opening, and the story comes alive even further when Father Malone gets the journal. And it's telling the rest of the tale from the perspective of, okay, we've seen what happened to the ship. Now we know in the background that it was planned that way and that people are just evil bullshit. You know what I mean? That's the way that it is. And I love that aspect to it because, once again, it just kind of plays out and we hear about it as the story progresses. It's given to us bit by bit. But I have to say, out of a lot of John Carpenter's films, this potentially does have one of my favorite endings. Because it starts, the ending, the fog goes away, everybody's relieved, it's wonderful, it's a happy ending. And then all of a sudden,
gotcha, bitch!
The door, Father Malone's kind of like, and then all of a sudden you see the shadow of the walking feet behind the door, and then the fog just rolls right in. Father Malone turns around, slice.
It was awesome.
Because it really comes down to the idea that Father Malone and the people really believed they've come for their gold.
Yeah.
Is their thought. So he gives them the cross. He's got the cross. Here's your gold, blah, 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 right?
But it wasn't.
He came for the descendants. He came for him. And they were not going to truly leave until they got what they really wanted. And that was it wasn't necessarily a twist, but it was a good surprise to the ending because it didn't cop out. It played it out. This is what was going to happen, and it happened. And to me, that is a happy-go-lucky ending, in my opinion, because it played exactly as I wanted it to, and I loved it for it. So I like this movie. It sits in the mid-range of the John Carpenter, but once again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So we have talked a lot. Oh, Tim's got something else to say. Everybody, listen.
Trivia time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim. We got trivia time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave and Adam. There's not a lot that we didn't already kind of like speckle in there as far as trivia throughout this movie, but there are a couple points that I do find interesting. First of all, this is the cinematic introduction to the career of Adrienne Barbeau. This was her first movie, and this part was specifically written for her, which I think is awesome. Yes. And Adrienne Barbeau and Jamie Lee Curtis, the leads of this film, do not appear in any scenes together whatsoever. The entirety of this film. And lastly, this is the one that I feel we missed out on an awesome opportunity. As much as I love Hal Holbrook as Father Malone, the role originally was offered to Mr. Christopher Lee.
Oh!
Who believed the character to be the father of the community. However, Lee unfortunately was unavailable, and Hal Holbrook eventually was cast. Now, like I said, I can't picture Father Malone as anybody else but Holbrook, right?
That's true.
Or Holbrook, sorry. But can you imagine Christopher Lee being Father Malone, and like I already said, Kurt Russell? This movie would have been amazing.
It would have definitely been.
It would have shot up from a mid-range to, like, thing.
Christopher Lee, I love Christopher Lee. Rest in peace, sir. Right up until one of the last things that he ever produced, which was a heavy death metal Christmas album. And
was it like the second one, part 2?
Yeah, it was part 2, like before he died, it came out or something like this. For anybody out there who has not actually heard this, think of the bellowing melodic voice of Christopher Lee singing Christmas songs to heavy metal death music.
Actually, if you want to get specific, it's symphonic heavy metal.
Symphonic heavy metal.
Yeah, symphonic. It's a progressive heavy metal band.
So he played the guitar and he sang in the songs, and it's phenomenal. Blows people away whenever I recommend it. I love it.
So I didn't know about the whole Christopher Lee thing. That's interesting because he must have.
That's the beauty. I know. The beauty of Trivia Time with Tim.
That is.
But you know what? He must have a thing for Hammer because didn't he also try to get Peter Cushing for Dr. Loomis, and then he ended up getting Donald Pleasance?
He also Christopher Lee was supposed to be Loomis as well.
Well,
yes,
yeah.
It is that old school Hammer film actors because a lot of them are like
classically trained
actors,
and theater actors. Yeah, they were really good actors. They were just in the cheaper of the horror films for the era. Is really what it came down to. Yeah. No, I like it. All right, gentlemen.
So ends Trivia Time with Tim.
And so ends Trivia Time with Tim. All right, gentlemen. Anything else you'd like to add?
If you haven't seen The Fog, go watch it.
Yes, go watch The Fog. If not only for the fact it's a John Carpenter film, but it's also a damn good ghost story.
Yeah.
Period. It is a good ghost story. It is a spooky ghost story. So with that, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in with us and joining us this week on the podcast, the web series, whatever you want to refer to us as now. They Cast from the Coast, the episode 44. And don't
44.
44. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, all that good stuff. Any which way that you think that you can listen to us, we are available on all platforms at this point, and we're out there. People love it. So,
and if you want to help out our channel even more,
yes, Tim,
jump over to our Patreon page, become a donor. We're appreciative to the donors that we have right now. All the money that we make goes back into the channel so we can do even more cool things. It's not supplying us with candy and food and
it is not
we could have a catering service. That would be awesome.
Could have a catering service.
But if you want to open up your hearts and your wallets to They Cast from the Coast, Misunderstood Art Company, the link will be below. We appreciate everything that we got. And a big thank you to our donors right now. You two know who you are. You guys know.
You guys know. There you go. All right, gentlemen. So until next time, Dave.
Have a good night.
Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody.
See you next time, everybody. Take care. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week to They Cast from the Coast. We hope you enjoyed the topic and the discussion that we've had tonight. We're very excited about everything that's being produced right now in conjunction with the Misunderstood Art Company. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Say hi in the comments section. And just in general, check out the other content that's being offered, once again, under the Misunderstood Art Company. If you want to listen just to the audio portion of this show itself, we're making it available on iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn on top of the YouTube channel itself. So thank you very much again for your continued support. Check out the rest of the Misunderstood Art Company's offerings. You might even see some familiar faces. And until next time, take it easy.